This is QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM. I am Loliam Kamara. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. The president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Olta, arrived in the Gambia on Thursday and was welcomed by the Minister of Finance, CDK Mkeda. A day after his arrival in the Gambia, Dr. Olta met President Barrow at the State House, where the president affirmed his government's commitment to accelerating infrastructure development. The government of the Gambia on Friday launched the Sardina and the Bonga Fisheries Management Plan and unveiled the Connected National Sport Project, which uses a science-based ecosystem approach. The 24th China medical team to the Gambia, comprising 10 doctors, arrived on Thursday and will spend the next year working alongside Gambian health professionals, reinforcing special medical services and supporting skills transfer. In international news, journalists from 27 countries across Africa and Asia have continued meeting in Kigali, Rwanda, for a seminar on gender transformative reporting. Those were the headlines. Coming up next, the news in detail. Thank you for joining us. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, CDK Mketa, alongside senior government officials, have welcomed the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Olta, on his arrival at the VVIP Lounge of the Banjul International Airport ahead of the African Cargo's 2026 conference. Usman Jata reports.
A warm and colorful momentum unfolded at the VVIP Lounge of the Banjul International Airport as Finance Minister Sidi Mketa and senior government officials awaited the arrival of the newly elected president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Olta. The rhythmic sounds of the traditional Fulariti music filled the air, welcoming distinguished guests as security personnel and protocol officers made final preparations for the high-profile arrival. Moments later, Dr. Ta was received by Minister Keita and the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Per Gomez, before being escorted to the VVIP Lounge for a closed-door meeting. Following the discussions, Dr. Ta and Minister Keita briefly addressed the media before departing for the Coco Ozone Resort, where preparations for the African caucus continues.
So I'm honored to start an official visit to the Gambia as new president of the African Development Bank. This is my first visit, and it is an opportunity for me to listen to the authorities and to make sure that the operation of the bank are responding to the needs of the country, and also to hear what are the priorities of the government. I will be also participating in the Africa Caucus, which will start on Monday in Banjul.
This is his first visit to the Gambia to deepen the relationship within the Gambia and the African Development Bank, which he has assumed the leadership of from last September. And we are honored and humbled to have been chosen as one of the few countries to be visited in this very early tenure of his presidency, to come and have dialogue with the authorities on the priorities of government and how the bank can partner to implement government priorities. We are very pleased that the President has taken his busy time to come and not only visit the Gambia, but also to participate in the caucus, which is a unique setting of IMF and World Bank member countries, but in his new capacity. So this shows that he is prepared as a new president to forge a relationship between the African Development Bank and the Bretton Woods institution.
Dr. Ta's visit signals growing momentum ahead of the African Caucus 2026 conference, which will bring together finance ministers, central bank governors and development partners from across the continent to discuss Africa's economic priorities and strengthen cooperation with international financial institutions. During his visit, the African Development Bank president is expected to meet senior government officials and assess priority development areas to ensure the bank's operations continue to respond to the Gambia's national development needs.
We must formalize our economies, strengthen our SMEs.
Dr. Sidi Ulta, an economics and development finance expert from Mauritania, assumed office as the 9th president of the African Development Bank on 4 September 2025, succeeding Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. He served as the president of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa and was elected with more than 76% of the vote by the bank's board of governors. Osman Jata, QTV News.
President Barrow has reaffirmed his government's commitment to accelerating infrastructure development as he received the president of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Sidi Ulta, at the State House today morning, accompanied by the Gambia's Finance and Economic Affairs Minister, Sidiki M. Keita. The bank president pledged continued support for the Gambia's development priorities, particularly in roads, energy, and economic transformation. Ali Sise reports.
President Barrow welcomed the president of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Sidi Ulta, for high-level discussions aimed at deepening cooperation between the Gambia and the continental financial institution. The meeting focused on aligning the bank's support with the government's development priorities. According to the AdB boss, the visit was also an opportunity to thank the Gambia for its support and to brief the president on recent developments within the bank, including efforts to strengthen the bank.
We also have been given the priority and directives of His Excellency President of the Republic, and particularly with regard of the priority of his government in terms of developing the infrastructure of the country and improving access to roads and electricity. The African Development Bank will work with the government of the Gambia to deliver on these important sectors and projects which are supposed to contribute to improving the quality of life and livelihood of the Gambian population.
Road infrastructure and energy remain central to the government's development agenda, with the bank reaffirming its readiness to finance projects that expand connectivity, improve access to electricity, and support sustainable economic growth. President Tah also praised the Barrow's administration's recent macroeconomic performance.
We took also this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency for the excellent macroeconomic performance the country has been achieving, and particularly with regard to the growth, the domestic resource mobilization, and the reforms related to state-owned enterprises and procurement, among others. And the African Development Bank Group is keen really to contribute to funding and supporting this orientation and supporting the development of the Gambia in all sectors.
The Gambia's Finance and Economic Affairs Minister, Sidiki Keita, described the meeting as a strong signal of the bank's confidence in the Gambia, noting that the visit comes less than a year after Dr. assumed office as the president of the bank.
We are very pleased that the president has identified his priorities, areas for engagement with the bank, and we are humbled and opportune to have received in audience His Excellency the President today, less than 1 year into his tenure in office. This is a strong commitment of his belief in the Gambia and his willingness to take the relationship between the Gambia and the bank to new heights. He has assured His Excellency the President of the bank's continued readiness to support us in our development agenda and the transformation that the country is undergoing.
As the Gambia continues its drive towards infrastructure expansion and economic transformation under President Barrow, both the government and the African Development Bank say they are committed to strengthening a partnership aimed at delivering lasting development and improving the lives of Gambians. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The government of the Gambia, with technical support from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, on Friday launched the Sarina and Abonga Fisheries Management Plan and unveiled the National Support Project using a science-based ecosystem approach. Jacqueline Colley tells us more.
The Fisheries Management Plan was developed by the Ministry of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters, with technical support from the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO of the United Nations through the EF Nansen program, which is funded by the government of Norway. Under Phase 2 of the program, FAO will support implementation of the plan over the next 18 months. The plan provides a strategic framework for sustainable management of Sardinella and Bonga, two of the country's most important small pelagic fish species that are central to national nutrition, food security, livelihoods, and the economy. Here is Miret Tanstad, the FAO EF Nansen Program Coordinator.
Around the world, our oceans are under increasing pressure from overfishing, climate change, habitat degradation, pollution, and growing competition for marine resources and ocean space. At the same time, fisheries and aquaculture have never been more important for global food security and nutrition. The recently released FAO State of World Fisheries and Aquaculture 2026 report highlights that global fisheries and aquaculture production reached a record 235 million tons in 2024.
The initiative is part of a broader national and regional efforts under the EF Nansen program to promote sustainable management of shared fisheries resources. At the national level, the program supports the Gambia and neighboring countries in developing and implementing fisheries management plans while strengthening scientific and institutional capacity. Here is the Minister of Fisheries, Musa Esdrame.
We cannot overstate the profound cultural, social, and economic importance of Bonga and Sardinella to our coastal and inland communities. These small pelagic resources are the very lifeblood of our local economies. They drive the livelihood at our landing sites, power our post-harvest processing sectors, and serve as the primary, irreplaceable post-harvest processing sector, still securing food and nutrition security for thousands of Gambians.
The FAO also reaffirmed its commitment to supporting the implementation of the management plan, highlighting the importance of continued collaboration between government institutions, development partners, and local stakeholders to strengthen marine ecosystem conservation and improve the livelihoods of fishing communities. Ms. Hadija Tujalo is the FAO representative.
Sardinella and Bonga are among the most important fish species for the Gambia. They provide food, nutrition, employment, and income for thousands of households. Because these stocks are shared with neighboring countries, their long-term sustainability depends on sound national management and strong regional cooperation.
Officials say the launch marks not only the adoption of a new fisheries management framework, but also the beginning of a coordinated national effort to safeguard fish stocks, strengthen the resilience of fishing communities, and promote sustainable economic development for future generations. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jacqueline Collie.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more national and international news stories, to stay tuned. Welcome back, and this is QTV News. I am Loliam Camara. Here are the rest of tonight's stories. The Ministry of Health on Thursday welcomed the 24th China medical team to the Gambia. The group of 10 doctors will spend the next year working alongside Gambian health professionals, reinforcing special medical services and supporting skills transfer. Usman Jada reports.
The arrival of the 24th China medical team is the continuation of decades-long health partnership between the Gambia and China. Officials of the Chinese Embassy and the Ministry of Health were at the Banjul International Airport to receive the 10-member delegation, which is expected to serve in the country for the next 12 months. The new team will work alongside Gambian doctors and nurses, providing specialist clinical care while sharing knowledge and expertise to strengthen the country's healthcare system.
On behalf of the Chinese Embassy, I would like to give warm welcome to our new medical team. You know, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the resumption of diplomatic relations of our two countries. So the health cooperation has always been one of the most important areas, most prioritized areas between our two countries. So I believe the 24th Medical Team will continue to work with their counterpart, their Gambian counterpart, to make a great contribution to the health and well-being of the Gambian people.
They will support us in terms of strengthening our effort to implement our goal in terms of what we aim to achieve in terms of the structure we have at Paratu. So they will be working at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. As you know, Edward Francis Small Teaching also is going to oversee the complex as Paratu. So the team will be working hand in glove to make sure that our aims and objectives are achieved.
Beyond hospital-based services, Chinese medical teams have regularly conducted outreach missions in communities across the country, including the Central River region, where they offer free consultations and perform general and pediatric surgeries.
With the support of two governments, the China medical team has performed surgeries, have organized outreach clinics and promote health educations, also supported the maternal and child health service, and also the malaria prevention and control. We believe and we are confident that the Chinese medical team will continue to do their effort.
They have also supported the professional development of local health workers through practical training in areas such as electrocardiogram, ECG operation and cardiopulmonary resuscitation, while donating medical equipment, medicines and other essential supplies to health facilities. The history of the China medical team in the Gambia dates back to 1977 and was temporarily halted in 1995 following a suspension of diplomatic ties. For patients, the arrival of the team promises greater access to specialized care. For the Ministry of Health, it represents another milestone in strengthening medical services through international cooperation and capacity building. Osman Jata, QTV News.
The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF the Gambia, in partnership with the government of the Gambia, has convened a two-day high-level dialogue on child justice at the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center. The meeting brings together justice sector actors and development partners to examine how the country's justice system can better protect the rights of every child. Usman Jada, again.
A child's first encounter with the justice system can shape their future, whether as a victim, a witness, or a child in conflict with the law. Every child deserves to be treated with dignity, protected from harm, and given a fair chance. For many, that begins with a justice system designed around the best interest of the child, rather than the demands of the justice system itself. That shared ambition has brought together prosecutors, police officers, social workers, government officials and development partners to the same table, reflecting on how the Gambia can build a justice system that is faster, more coordinated and more responsive to children's needs. UN Resident Coordinator Carl Frederick Paul says achieving that goal requires stronger partnerships and sustained commitment across institutions.
The Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child affirm that every child is a right holder, that the best interest of the child must be a primary consideration in all decisions affecting them, including in the justice system. These principles matter especially when it comes to children because the consequences of failures are so profound. This is why child justice must be understood as a larger and broader question of governance, inclusion, national development and peace.
UNICEF country representative Nafisa Bint Safiq says the foundations have been laid, but translating laws into meaningful outcomes for children remains the next challenge.
Available evidence continues to point to delays in case processing, gaps in coordination, limited diversion and rehabilitation services, constraint in legal aid and weaknesses in case management system.
the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary Hussein Tomasi and Ambassador Habib T.B. Jara, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Gender, participated in the dialogue.
The government recognizes that important work remains to be done. Delays in case processing, resource constraints, gaps in coordination among institutions continue to affect the effectiveness of our child justice system.
Concerning is the gap in access to legal representation. Although the law guarantees this right, many children, especially those from vulnerable families, navigate the justice system without adequate legal support. This reality is not consistent with our commitments under regional and international instruments.
Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow reaffirmed the judiciary's commitment to a child-sensitive justice system, saying justice for children must prioritize protection, rehabilitation, and reintegration rather than punishment alone.
A child-sensitive justice system is founded on the recognition that children are not simply smaller versions of adults. Their age, their vulnerability, their developmental needs, and their capacity for rehabilitation require a distinct and specialized approach, one that prioritizes protection, rehabilitation, reintegration, and always the best interests of the child.
As the dialogue continues, stakeholders hope the conversations will lead to concrete reforms that ensure every child, regardless of circumstances, can access a justice system that protects their rights, preserves their dignity, and gives them the opportunity to thrive. Osman Jatta, QTV News.
In international news, for decades, women have remained underrepresented in political leadership despite making up nearly half of the world's population. While progress has been made in some countries, including in Rwanda and Kenya, gender stereotypes, biased media narratives, and online violence continue to discourage many women from seeking leadership positions. Aliu Sise reports from Kigali, Rwanda.
Many times there are narratives such as women are not interested in leadership, women are not good leaders, women are emotional, women are incapable, women do not have the merit and competence. But women are always reminded, if you are going to be busy as a political leader, how are you going to balance the work-life balance? Who is going to be taking care of the home? But no one, very rarely do you see media journalists asking me those responsibilities, because it's coming from the social norms and constructs of assuming that the public life, leadership, decision-making belongs to men.
Those were the remarks from Rumbizai Kandawa Speaker Nuhundu, Principal Advisor for Democracy and Inclusion at International IDEA, as journalists from 27 countries across Africa and Asia gather in Kigali, Rwanda, for a seminar on gender transformative reporting. She reminded journalists that the media has the power to shape public attitudes and influence democracy. She said deeply rooted social norms continue to favor men in leadership, contributing to women making up only about 26% of members of parliament worldwide. She urged journalists to produce reporting that challenges those inequalities rather than reinforces them.
They are responsible for democracy building in terms of inclusiveness, representation, and participation. And that should be reflected in the voices that are consulted, in the voices that are also setting opinions.
For participants, the seminar offered not only new knowledge, but also an opportunity to reflect on their own reporting and newsroom practices. Here are Citra Dia Prastuti from Indonesia, Non Lanla Guenya from Zimbabwe, and Tumelo Freddy Machogo from South Africa.
I feel empowered, like working on tackling social norms in Indonesia and also elsewhere in the world, because patriarchy is one of the things that we have to really address in this world.
So we're not only looking at my experience, rather, it grew from just a contextual experience, like this is what happens in Zimbabwe, but to what happens in 27 countries in Africa and Asia as well.
These are the voices that they never really get to be heard, but also ensuring that, women that are participating in politics, that are participating in leadership position, they are also being equally represented, and also ensuring that their voices are also heard particularly.
Lead facilitator Nightlt Ngesa said the fight for gender equality has become even more urgent with the rise of technology-facilitated gender-based violence, which continues to target women leaders online.
Women are being harassed, their characters are being assassinated, they are being defamed. So TFGBV is actually becoming one of the biggest threats of our time.
The message at this seminar is clear. The responsibilities of challenging stereotypes and amplifying women's voices does not end with the seminar. It begins in their newsrooms. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. The president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Ulta, arrived in the Gambia on Thursday and was welcomed by the Minister of Finance, CDK Keita. A day after his arrival in the Gambia, Dr. Ulta met President Barrow at the State House, where the president reaffirmed his government's commitment to accelerating infrastructure development. The government of the Gambia on Friday launched the Sardina and the Bonga Fisheries Management Plan and unveiled the Connected National Support Project, which uses a science-based ecosystem approach. The 24th China medical team to the Gambia, comprising 10 doctors, arrived on Thursday and will spend the next year working alongside Gambian health professionals, reinforcing specialist medical services and supporting skills transfer. In international news, journalists from 27 countries across Africa and Asia have continued meeting in Kigali, Rwanda, for a seminar on gender transformative reporting. That's all for this bulletin. You can join us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.